Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that I have plot synopsis and character bios for this issue. Uncanny X-Men annual number 10 from 1986, drawn by Arthur Adams. This takes place before the Mutant Massacre. Although, where was Longshot during the Mutant Massacre? We won't even try to guess. Chris Claremont, since he's so busy writing new stories that took place during his tenure in X-Men, should write a story of what Longshot was doing during the Mutant Massacre. So we've got an homage to Giant Size X-Men #1. This is the first appearance of the X-Babies. We got Baby Storm, Baby Wolverine, Baby Nightcrawler, Baby Colossus, and Baby Kitty Pryde. And then we have the New Mutants. We have Cannonball. We have Sunspot. We have Mirage. We have Cypher and Warlock. We have Wolfsbane and Magma. And this is the first appearance of Longshot joining the X-Men. Of course, I have covered the Longshot limited series written by Anna Senti, drawn by Arthur Adams. And this is him joining the X-Men, sort of. He doesn't really join the X-Men till let's see, 314. Dazzler is freed from Malice. 315 and 316. I don't believe Longshot is in there, so 316, I believe, is the first appearance of Longshot in the X-Men. However, I could be wrong. Cover here by Arthur Adams and Terry Austin. I've covered this video before, but that was years ago, and before I started doing all these X-Men videos, so I decided, hey, let us redo it. So, we have the title of our story, Performance. Chris Claremont is our writer, with Arthur Adams and Terry Austin. Terry Austin is an incredible inker. So, we start out in the Danger Room. We have a Psylocke, and we have Cypher here. And then we have Rogue, we have Kitty Pryde, we have Colossus doing the fastball special, we have Wolverine, we have Magneto, I say Magneto, not Magneto, and Nightcrawler and Storm. And they're basically playing a game of tag. All they have to do to win is touch Magneto. So he is using his his powers here, containing Wolverine, and doing this thing to keep Storm at bay and imprisoning Nightcrawler. So Nightcrawler teleports, and he says Magneto has Wolverine trapped in some sort of energy beam. No problem. I'm going to teleport him out of it. So he gets in there, and he doesn't realize that Magneto set a trap. There's a barrier that prevents him from doing such things. So here is Storm. I love it when they do the drawings of her in motion, of anyone in motion here. And she goes magnificent. He cuts our strengths by a third with a single move. And so Storm doesn't have her powers, but she still leads the X-Men. We see Shadowcat here ready to come, but Magneto jumps out of the place real quick. Something that is really distinctive of Arthur Adams' drawing style is legs. He draws very long legs. If you take a look at the legs, with the proportion of the bodies, legs are always super long. It is one of his tropes. It is part of his style. You can always tell an Arthur Adams piece by looking at the legs and going, oh yeah, that's a long legs. That's definitely Arthur Adams. Look at this. I mean, this is I That is a very long leg. Not that the arm is really super long too. This arm probably could touch the ankles of this leg if you were to put it through. So, all right. And so here comes Colossus and Rogue, but he creates a barrier, and he says, "Is this the best you can do? A most and satisfactory performance, X-Men. Let us begin again." And we see our people up here, and so we've got we have another person that was up there. So we have Cypher, we have Sunspot, and we have Elizabeth Braddock, who is not really hasn't joined the X-Men. She will join the X-Men in 213, which actually is the previous issue that I did of X-Men prior to this one. So I do have a playlist. This issue will be put in the correct area of the playlist here. And so Sunspot is a bit of a hothead. He says, "Pathetic. We've done better on lots of occasions. By right are they X-Men and not us?" And Cypher's like, "They're older, Bobby. Not Shadowcat. She's not even 15. They've been here longer. That isn't fair." And he says, "So what else is new?" So, gosh, so Kitty hasn't even aged a year since her first appearance. So she's been basically stuck at 15 for like 10 years. And so Psylocke says, "Where do I belong? With the novices as students or among the X-Men? What does make the difference between the two teams?" Well, it's experience, and she ends up in the X-Men. So, all right. Unbeknownst to our heroes, they are being watched from Mojo World. And so if you will recognize this from the Longshot limited series. So real quick, I have several playlists. I have the New Mutants playlist for just New Mutants. I have the X-Men playlist for just X-Men. I have a Wolverine playlist. I also have an X-Universe playlist where I put everything together. I also have X-Factor, which is in there too, and also has its own playlist. So feel free to check it out. I try to do all these issues in reading orders, but once in a while, I do miss them in reading order like I am with this one, but they will be in reading order when I put them in the playlist. So again, we see Mojo here. He says, "Rich, Spiral," which is her here, "Major Domo, listen to those cockle-pated cretins. They love my epic. My pet Psylocke is a sensation. They can't get enough of her." And Spiral says, "No account for taste." And Major Domo says, "Actually, darling, revenues to date on this latest projection are only just beginning to balance the cost of the Wild Ways debacle. That was in the New Mutants annual, which I have covered." Real quick, remember that through her bionic eyes, meaning Psylocke, he is able to see everything. So he can see whatever Psylocke can see. And so they basically decide that they need to increase the ratings because Mojo World is basically ratings. It's a TV show. It's reality television before reality television. So, and Spiral does have issues with Mojo here. And so she eventually wants to dominate him, but he's too powerful here. So anyway, so what he is going to do is he is going to press a button, which you're going to see here, that all of a sudden this thing transforms here. And Wolverine says, "My claws, they extended themselves." And Colossus reverts back to human form and says, I think it's Bossamoy. I don't know. It means I don't know what it means. I looked it up once, but I forgot. And so it's an energy plasma. Kitty Pryde says, and of course Rogue says, "Clear of it. And also, of course, it makes all the circuitry kind of go crazy. And suddenly you see someone come through, which of course is going to be um, Longshot here. You see this zapoof here. And so it disappears and Longshot falls. Again, look at the legs. And so um, Wolverine asks is if he's breathing, and then he thinks here the weird scent on the scoop makes me edgy. And so here comes Psylocke. She's got a medical kit, and he's alive. They have a pulse here, and um, she asks, Nightcrawler asks Betsy for a mind probe, and then she goes, his thoughts, utter chaos. He's suffering from severe psychic shock. No current sense of self. In fact, none of the images I'm receiving make the slightest sense. He needs proper attention, Storm. We best move him to the infirmary. And then in her thoughts, his face. He's so beautiful. And so they notice he has 3 fingers, and Wolverine says, big deal, you got 2. And so basically, that's just funny. Nightcrawler's trying to say he's not human. And Cypher asks if he can have an analysis of the goop, but it disappears. And so you see Storm carrying him here. I don't know why back then they always did things like this. Like in this case, they're all red. Sometimes they always did like one giant color. I don't know. And so, let's see who's thinking this here. It must be Storm. Okay, she's thinking here. How odd. This stranger is my size, yet lighter than Shadowcat. I can carry him with ease. And so they said, Cypher, initiate the procedure with the danger room. And he says, can't, Storm. Till the computers are repaired, I'll have to seal the room instead. And Wolverine takes off his mask and says, something bother you, Bets? He says, it may be nothing, Wolverine, but I feel as though the devil is dancing on my grave. And so the next day, Storm gets up and she starts acting a little different and kind of like a little kid. And all of a sudden, she sees that her robe is too big and talks funny like a little kid talks to plants. And all of a sudden, you hear this scream here. And so it's Ileana, and she's calling for everybody. She says, get in here. And of course, the New Mutants come in and they see Kitty, and she's like a little kid. And you see that Loki is protecting her here. And Storm goes, out of my way, babies. Like, that's not really how she would speak, but she's also like a teenager now. And all the X-Men, everybody that was in there is now very young. And so they notice that other New Mutants notice the same thing. And so Storm says, I do not understand why you New Mutants are upset. As you can plainly see, and I keep telling you, all is well. And like, they can't tell. I mean, seriously, you should be able to look at each other. And Cypher says, no, you're not. Everybody has shortened. Everybody's becoming younger. And look at Arthur Adams is so cool here. Everybody says that a Longshot is awake, and look at this. The girls are all in love with him. And Storm asks if he has a name, and he's like, what's the name? So he's got amnesia again. And so, oh my gosh. Everybody, so many code names to remember. So Mirage is like, great, either an amnesiac or a total space case, but at least he speaks English. And so he's Wolverine is smoking here. You can see Peter going, cigar smoke, yuck. And so uh, Nightcrawler says the girls are on love, and Wolverine's like, they're girls, Elf. Dumb bunnies got no taste and less brains. And so, of course, Cypher detects or thinks here that it has to do with the stuff that was in the danger room, and they're not being affected because they were not in in the danger room. They were outside of the danger room. Look at Warlock imitating what Cypher does here. So, all right. So, they think he's still trying to play detective here, and um, notices that Warlock is hanging back, and he asks why. He says, "Apprehension, confluence of forces, energies in immediate locality perceived as a threat." And he's like, we're, it's fine. Take my hand. We'll merge our forms. He says, negative. Beware. Continued repetition of self-merge will infect you with the transmode virus, and you'll no longer be human, but will become techno-organic like self. I like just how he speaks here. So, and he says, the X-Men need our help, Warlock. It's my choice, my risk. And so they merge again, and he says like he loves seeing the world through his eyes here. So, all right. And so they start to make some educated guesses, but remember that on New Mutants Annual 2, that they met the Brat Pack and see the same energy, which of course it's they figure out it's Mojo here, so they're gonna warn the others here, and somehow he remembers his name is Longshot here, and Rogue's like, that's a lovely name. Mine's Rogue Cutie. And so um and so they know now that Mojo is responsible for this, and she says, we know where we are. And then Wolverine's like, then what are we waiting for, babe? Let's nail the creep. And so suddenly one of the New Mutants screams out, hold it. Rein in, cowboys. Where do you think you're going? After the village, Mirage. He ain't gonna mess with us ever again, says Wolverine. This may not be the smartest move you guys can make. And Wolverine goes, what do you know, bimbet? Like a bimbo. And anyway, Wolverine's like, stand aside or get run over. And Mirage says, I don't take that kind of talk from adults, Wolverine, much less a punk boy my own age. Chill out, the lot of you. And so here comes Warlock and Cypher, and they're like, hey, it's Spiral and Mojo that did this. And then Magneto is like, tis, tis, how foolish can you babies be? Never turn your backs on the master of magnetism. So he electrocutes them. And Rogue's like, boy, oh boy, their heads hurt when they wake up. And Wolverine's like, serves them right for giving us static, this stupid little hammerheads. We're the X-Men. We can take care of ourselves. Who drives? I will. So they start acting, look at it, or acting like kids. And Kitty had an accident. And so they're driving the rolls all the way to Central Park here. And so they get out, and like I said, they're acting like little kids here. And the cops are like, what are you kids doing here? And Magneto releases a water pipe and converts it into, I don't know, does something. So anyway, its steam is coming through, or the water's coming through at high pressure. So they use that distraction to get away here. And so they get to Central Park here, and there is their destination here. And Wolverine is like, all right, I'll slice them and dice them, chop them and drop them. I'll carve my initial on their scummy hides. And Colossus is holding Kitty here. And they're all fighting here, and Storm's like, I has had it. And she's like, I'm leaving. You guys are a bunch of babies. And even you can see that this is also affecting Longshot here. But this is just hilarious. Oh my gosh, Arthur Adams is so good. And so they all are sad that Storm left them. And Longshot is like, can't we just follow her? And look at Wolverine. Gritty, little Longshot. Let's go. And look at him just This is so cool. I love this. This I have so many good memories. I must have read this annual so many times when I was in middle school, which is when this came out. So um, the doors are locked. Magneto's gonna use his powers, but it's not working. Remember, he's too young now. The mutant powers haven't activated. Um, and he wasn't born with white hair, so but whatever. And Wolverine's like, poor baby. And he goes, my class got nothing to do with any stupid powers, which actually it does now that that's been retconned. But at this time, they were implanted to him. And so he pulls them out. And it turns out Storm was in there and opens the door. So, my goodness, the way Arthur Adams draws these kids. And so they go in and they continue here, and uh they Mojo is there, and he's like, please sir, may we come in and play? And Mojo's like, of course, little Wind Rider. That's why I'm here to play with you. And look at that evil smile. And these innocent little kids. Oh my goodness gracious. So Loki is waking up Mirage here, and so she everybody's down, and he's like, wake everybody up, and she kind of covers her uniforms and see the police, and they're like, the New York police called. They found a Rolls Royce registered to the school, abandoned Central Park, being driven by kids. And he goes, you don't look so good. He's like, I got the flu. I'll tell the professor when he gets home. And they're like, please have him call New York. And she's like, sure thing. And so they're going to try to use Cerebro, but no sign of him. And so the New Mutants are worried. And so they decide that maybe they're not going to be the New Mutants anymore, and that they knew that eventually they're going to have to replace the X-Men. So these were the costumes that they were going to receive upon their graduation. And so they are now the new X-Men. By the way, these costumes are so cool. We got Warlock, Cypher, who looks like Cyclops. I don't know why he's got an optic thing, but okay, whatever, looks cool. And Magma, Sunspot, Magic, Karma, Wolfsbane, and Mirage here. I love Cannonball's uniform. It looks so freaking cool. So, and look at Loki looking up. I mean, Arthur Adams is he's so good. So, he's smiling. And of course, Mirage is like, it wasn't supposed to be like this. This moment's happening too fast, too soon. We're not ready, but then I guess no one ever is. We'll start our search in Central Park where the police found the car. So Magic transports them, and they arrive, and they're like, where the heck are we? And of course, Magic can't always control her powers, and she says, something grabbed us mid-jaunt. And it turns out that Spiral, and this is so cool here. Splendid child, such a charming child, to possess so prodigious elephantina memory. 'Twas I who scrambled danced your witching spells to bring you to my stage, and now the cast's all assembled. Let the play truly begin. And we've got the X-Men here, or the baby X-Men here. Look at this. And how he looks like Strife, or what Strife will become. So, Nightcrawler, this would then be Psylocke, Storm, who now suddenly has her full head of hair, Magneto dressed like a Nazi, which is kind of funny considered that he's Jewish. We got Wolverine, Longshot, Rogue, Kitty Pryde. So this would be Colossus. And so when they say the X-Men, you see Wolverine. You betcha, butt brain. And so I'm tired of waiting. Wolverine wants to kill. And so these are the Brat Pack kids, I believe. Or and so they're watching this. Nope, these are the Little Rascals. That's who that is. And so All right, so we are going to have an X-Men versus New Mutants thing here. So, um, some of these kids is like, we should get away, and she puts like some fairy dust, pixie dust here, and says, not only can you not leave, but you're gonna enjoy this, and uh, turns some people into frogs too. So here we go here, and we see the fight between them, but the X-Men are getting a little bit older here, and so we're just kind of moving along here, looking at this beautiful art by Arthur Adams, and they see that Mojo is, of course, responsible for all this, and the people are um, happy because this is what it's all about. And look at this. She goes, so Spiral here, she's got a thing against Longshot here, and Spiral says they cheer for him as they once did me. The limelight center stage spotlight was mine until Lucky Longshot stole it. To see him is to love him, to know him as I did. She jumps. Silent Spiral. So many thoughts, too many memories are fatal. Better by far to hold on to hate with all your twisted, broken heart. And so she kicks him and she goes, "Oh dear, how clumsy of me. So sorry." So, ah, so Mojo is not happy that Spiral did that, and he says, "Naughty dancer," and he teleports her, and he grabs her here, says, "I don't remember putting that in the choreography. Could you have forgotten? You're only as free an agent as I allow." And so he makes her smile. He says, "That's better. Now you look happily pleased, as you should, to discover how absolute my control is over your power and your life. Soar to the heights you have, little scheming schemer, but never forget who cast you up and raised you down," as he throws her. And so the crowd begins to wake up, and someone says, "This isn't fun anymore." And Mojo's like, "Who said that? How dare you turn your hearts against me?" And so he orders the X-Men to basically kill everyone. He says, "Bring them to me, each and every single one. Just the hearts, mind you. Leave the shells behind." And so, um, oh my gosh, too many names here. So Cannonball hears this, and so he decides he better try to take Mojo out. So off he goes, but Longshot jumps and gets him here. And so Magma's gonna raise a volcano here, but Storm uses her powers that have been restored to protect him. So although I don't know who would win, I don't think rain and a tornado. I think it's two different levels. I don't think you can rain enough to stop a volcano. So I mean, we see oceans, so, but whatever. We're dealing with a comic book here. And so now we're going to see Colossus and Sunspot, but Sunspot gets his powers from the sun. He can get super strong. I love this way of Rogue. And so she touches him. Of course, she gets out, she absorbs him for a moment here. And suddenly she sees here and she goes, Sunspot's memories, images of me, not the person I am. How could I be so different? Why am I so changed? Which is the real me? And so continue to fight here, and we see Magic try to teleport, but Mojo is ready. And Karma decides, I'm going to try to possess Wolverine and see if that works. So she's going to see if it can break the hold. And she's like, Sacre Mère. She speaks French here. He resists. And I love how hairy he is. Can't hold me, girl. Nothing can hold me. I won't be stopped. And Karma's like, fight that evil. See me as I am, your friend. Your will ain't no match for mine. See yourself as you truly are. And so all of a sudden he goes, Mojo, what have you done to me? And suddenly, bam, bam. But he didn't hurt her here. And he says, I'm myself again. He made me an animal, took me to where I was, where part of me will always belong. Almost got away with it too. And so a naked Wolverine tackles Colossus, and um, Warlock is down, and then Psylocke hits Cypher, and he's like, I can't fight her. She's too pretty. He doesn't have powers either. I mean, his power is just languages. And so here comes Wolverine, and of course she sees, he sees him and he yells. And here you can see that Psylocke is starting to sort of wake up, and he takes the claws back and snaps her back into place. And so Cypher's like, you had me worried there for a minute. We really got to stop meeting like this. People will talk. She's like, let them. Okay, another inappropriate relationship, as she is much older than him. He's a teenager. He's the same age as Kitty Pryde. And so here comes Kitty Pryde, speaking of it, and she's going to seize Eliana. And so this is going to snap her out of it, and she rescues her too. And so all the X-Men are going, sort of trying to regain who they were here. And Storm is like, it is good to be worshipped, even by such ground crawling grubs as these. Only right and proper and fitting for a goddess. But then she's like, wait, that's not who I am. And she realizes that this is not right. And so she uses her power now to go and hit Mojo here. And he's like, what I gave you I can easily take away if you make me hungry. And so the X-Men now are going to fight Mojo because, hey, they are heroes and this is what we do. And she's like, oh my god, I cannot absorb him. There's no end to him. And so, let's see. Somebody uses their power, so it must be Psylocke here. And they decide we all need to work together to bring him down. And so Magneto uses his powers to move the chair. Here comes Colossus, and boom. And Nightcrawler grabs Spiral's sword. He teleports here, and then he's about to stab him. And all of a sudden, you see this fatasp and great big panel here. And he teleported away. And it's over. Although Wolverine doesn't think so. He says, don't bet on it. And so, at least we're free from Mojo's control. And so the X-Men have arrived, or the X-Men are back, and so Storm says we still have Spiral, and she possesses considerable power. I'm certain we can persuade her, and persuade is in quotations, to help her put things right. And so Waker Psylocke, so she uses her power, and of course you see a pissed Spiral here, and look at magic. Hi there, remember us? Be nice, Dancer, or my big brother Colossus will break your bones. I'll slice your mystic spirit, and Wolverine will chop your bod into little pieces. Actually, we're kind of hoping you give us an excuse. We're in the mood for blood. And so Storm says, peace, magic, for now. Mojo has abandoned you, Spiral. Your fate is in our hands. Do as we ask or die. Is that an offer or a joke, says Spiral. I help, I walk free. Otherwise, cut me now. And Storm says, I'm tempted. Psylocke says, I'm tempted. I say we kill her. Another time, Psylocke. But not tonight. Restore us, restore the theater and us to the way we were, the way we should. And so everything back the way it was, even meaning Storm losing her powers, and so she does. And this decision will kind of cost them a little bit with Spiral here. So and so the New Mutants put back their costumes, and they're like, I can't believe that things are back to normal. It's like nothing happened, and yada yada. And they're like, hey, We know what happened and that they made a difference. So the New Mutants, they're a good team. I cover the New Mutants, so check it out here. Longshot is like the floor moves, and um, oh my gosh, again, too many characters. Sometimes I draw a blank. Nightcrawler says that's because it's water. A transitional state be gas and solid. Here for a closer look, and all of a sudden you hear that splash here. And so Storm shaved her head again, and she says the style suits me, but if I grow it back, it shall be by my choice, not Mojo's. And so Wolverine asked, so everything's back to the way it was then? Everything when Spiral wove her magic dance. She stripped me of my elemental powers. The weather's not mine to command. And of course, they knew that with Mojo's gift, it's not that easy. And of course, she thinks of her eyes, and she wonders she should tell them. And if they do, would they have her leave? So, all right. And so we're here in the last page here. So so they explained to Psylocke that being an X-Men is more than powers. It means possessing the strength of will, the self-identity that nothing can subvert. So that is why the original team members were chosen by Charles Savers, as opposed to other mutants who had manifested their powers at that time, when and why we specifically were chosen to replace them. It is why you may belong, Elizabeth, to some of the New Mutants, despite their courage may not. For better or worse, being an X-Men means not merely being born a mutant, but a hero. And so, MGM Productions, Mojo's Giant Movies of Death. The end, and you see a very Alfred Hitchcock with everybody clapping here, and Major Domo tells him that this was the highest rated show they've had, and they're like, you'll probably want to do it again. He says, no, how could I do that? That would be repeating. But of course we know he's going to do it again, in Excalibur. So and so he's saying here he's leaving Longshot with the X-Men. He'll win their hearts, and then I'll break them. But nothing actually is going to come of that. So anyway, and so BD, that's all, folks. But I'll be back, and he will be. But that thing with Longshot, nothing happens with that. At least not during Claremont's time. So, Uncanny X-Men, annual number 10. Chris Claremont, Art Adams, and Terry Austin. Like and subscribe, and I do thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.